What time? It's 5:17 p.m. here in Los Angeles. I know that a lot of people in Europe are probably asleep, which sucks. But you guys who are here, please ask some questions. Oh, South Africa. Okay, cool. What time is it in South Africa? It seems like it would be really late there. MD Pels, when hanging out with Michael, what's the one thing that surprised you about him that you would have never knew about if you had not known him? That's a great question. I'm trying to put myself back into 1991 when I first, started working at his management company, and I first really started getting to know him. The first thing that struck me is he loved Bazooka bubblegum. Because when you're a fan, you don't think Michael Jackson loves anything normal. So when I found out he just loved Bazooka, which I loved too, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And then I found out when we were doing Ghosts, he would not come on set without having a pocket full of Tic Tacs. He loved Tic Tacs. So he loved Tic Tacs and Bazooka. So that made him pretty, relatable. And another thing about Michael is he wasn't as shy as people seem to make him out to be. He would get embarrassed a lot, if he was in certain situations, but shy he was not. He was not shy. He was really funny and fun and just down to earth. I can't stress that enough. He was someone that you could talk to about anything and he could relate to it. And he would never act condescending or as if he was above it all. He would just understand. I would talk to him about married guys who were hitting on me. I won't say their names, but some, of our mutual friends were hitting on me, and I would always tell Michael about it, and he would just laugh. And I remember one time I told him about one guy who was hitting on me, and he said, "Oh, I'm not surprised that he's hitting on you," and that was his little way of flirting. He was really subtle with his flirtatiousness and smooth. He wasn't someone who was like, "Oh, hey baby, are you gonna go out with me?" No, he was really smooth. So Michael was, so the main thing that I took away from Michael that I was surprised about is how normal he was and down to earth. Knowing Michael Jackson, where were you when the news about his passing came out? I was at the mall buying an outfit to go see Michael the next day. I was scheduled to see Michael at rehearsal for This Is It that week. I could have gone any day that week, but I kept putting it off because I hadn't seen him in a while and I didn't know what to say. And I was going to go to ask him if I could help him with his kids. I was going to be his, a nanny, assistant, whatever. That's what I was going to rehearsal to talk to him about. I knew he wasn't doing well. I knew he was in trouble. I knew he needed help. And so I was told to go to rehearsal, to go see him and to, tell him that I was there for him, that I could help him. And, how do you tell a man that you can help him? So I don't know, I was trying to write a letter. I didn't know what to do. So I kept putting it off, and I was like, okay, I'll go on Friday. I'll be ready. I'm gonna find a good outfit to wear. So I was literally at the Glendale Galleria when I heard the news, and ironically he ended up being buried in Glendale at Forest Lawn Memorial. And I never go to Glendale. Glendale is not somewhere that I go. So it's kind of ironic that I was in Glendale on June 25th. And I remember I called Dorian Holley. I called his nanny. I told her the news. I called Dorian Holley, and Dorian was at rehearsal, and he was like, "No, that can't be true. I'm just gonna, stay here at rehearsal and wait for Michael to come." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I heard that he's not doing well, because this was before, they said he had passed away. He was in the hospital at this point." And so the nanny was the first person I called, and then Dorian was at rehearsal. And his nanny told me to go to Carolwood see what was going on, like really. And as I was driving, I was on my way to Carrollwood. I was going to go see what was happening, and I was driving, and then my mother called me, and she said, you know, go to TMZ because they said he passed away. So that's how that happened. I can't even talk about it without getting emotional. It's crazy. This is like, it's 11 years later, and I can't even talk about it. I don't know what to do. It's like, I feel like I can't move on because this is still affecting me, because there's so many there's so many things that were just never tied, I was supposed to talk to him about a lot at rehearsal that day or the next day or that week, any day that week. And I kept putting it off. I kept procrastinating. And I keep wondering, like, why did I not go? I could have gone any day that week. Even when they were at the forum, I could have gone, but I didn't. I just kept putting it off. For some reason, I had seen him in the press looking like, not so good, really skinny. I just felt like I didn't want to see him in that way. And I didn't think he would want me to see him in that way. So that's why I kept putting it off. And then I finally got up the strength to go see him that week. I was scheduled to see him June 26th at the Staples Center. And it didn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna. I've thought that after 11 years I would have gotten past this and gotten over it, but I guess not. Nick, how was Michael's voice? His voice was like it. The thing is that he didn't have a high voice like you knew it in the 80s. Like, if you go watch his awards appearances in the 80s, he had a really high voice, and his voice was not like that. So that was the fake voice they're talking about. He did not have a high voice like that. It was more like how you heard him in the 90s and the 2000s. Even in Ghost, like, he put on that voice for the mayor, and then he would have his Michael Jackson voice. I was there when he was using both voices. And a funny thing is, whenever I called Michael, and probably this was for anyone who ever called him, like personally called his number at home, he would always answer in a fake voice. So he would say, hello, and he would have a British accent every time. So he would act like he was his own assistant whenever you called him. And he would screen his own calls. So, you would call, and I'd say, he'd say, hello. And I'd say, is Michael there? And he'd say, who's calling? And I'd say, oh, it's Shana. And he'd say, 1 moment, please, let me check. And he'd act like he was checking with Michael to see if it was okay to put me through. And then he'd come back and he'd say, put her through. He had this Cockney English accent. So that's how he, that's how he screened his own calls, because he didn't have an assistant with him at home. He literally answered his own calls. He was down to earth in that way, but he was his own assistant, and he used this fake voice, and he was really good at accents and voices. But his normal voice, that I talk to every day, was the one that you're familiar with, from the 90s and the 2000s. It wasn't some Barry White deep voice. I mean, the whole Jackson family has kind of soft voices, I'm a Cancer too, so I'm like really sensitive and emotional about everything. JWC, what is my ethnic background? I get that question a lot. My father's from Martinique. Martinique is a French island. His father was from India. And my mother is mixed with several things, but she's from Washington, D.C. And one of the things she's mixed with is black. So I kind of, consider myself black because that's, the culture that I identify most with. But, we're mixed with different things. And I'm happy to, learn about my Indian roots, my French roots, and my black roots, which I love so much. So yeah. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Dangerous 25 Polish, honey. Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Dangerous, I'm always asked like what my favorite Michael album is. It's Dangerous, for sure, like by far. How many records of Michael do you have hanging on your wall? I only have the History album on my wall. Let's see if I can show it. There it is. That's it. I don't really have Michael on my wall, to be honest. Most of my Michael stuff is in boxes. I don't know. Seeing him sometimes makes me sad, so I don't keep him like on my wall. I did when I was a teenager. He was all over my wall, but now not so much. Sly One, what's your relationship with the Jackson estate at the moment? We're good. They invited me to the Ghost screening that they had at Man's Chinese Theater in Hollywood a few years ago. We've had correspondence. So yeah, I mean, I'm good with them. I'm not happy with some of the things they're doing as far as I would love for them to release some of the unreleased stuff. Like some of I have some Michael Jackson unreleased songs, and I get messages all the time, people begging me to release these songs, like 7 Digits and Don't Believe It, these songs no one has ever heard. I would love to release those for you, but it's not my place to release them. It's the estate's place to release them, and so that's what they have to do, and I would love for them to do it, but I heard that they're not planning on releasing anything new. They're focusing on his known hits. So yeah, I've been doing my best, guys, to get them to do this, but it's not easy. But just know I've been working on your behalf from your messages that I'm getting. I know what you want, and I want that too. Like I want the Triumph Tour to be released in a good quality. That was like my favorite tour I've ever seen of Michael's. I went to it in 1981 in Largo, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. I attended the Triumph Tour, and it was the best show I've ever seen in my life. And then the Bad Tour, that also has not been released. The second leg that I attended in the DC area, Michael was, toured all across America, and that was the best show ever next to the Triumph Tour. And that hasn't been released. So, we need to see these things in good quality. And I'm with you. I hear you. I agree with you. But there's not much I can do. Singleton Swing 54. Tell me what it was like making the Ghost video. Oh, wow. I wrote about this in detail in my book, Michael and Me. Oh, and this is Michael's fedora. Let me show you his fedora. I keep it in this, but even though I've kept it in this the whole time, Michael's signature has faded. I'm so mad, but I'll show it to you. Oops, okay. It's Michael's fedora. Where is his signature? I can't even see his signature anymore. It's here. You see it? I think you can see it a little bit, right? But it's faded. And then on the inside, it says Michael Jackson. Maybe if I do it this way. Michael Jackson. You see that? So if you ever see a fedora and it doesn't say Michael Jackson on the inside, that means it's not real. So this is the way for you to tell. All of his fedoras have that on the inside. Nick, what other signed items do I have of Michael's? I have some here. Oh, look what I have here. I found this whole box of Neverland items. This is a Neverland t-shirt on the front, or on the back. No, this is the front. It says Neverland. So I have all of these, and I have all these signatures. Back in my day, I'm not young, I'm old. And back in our day, autographs were the thing, not selfies, not pictures. It was autographs, because we didn't have cell phones. So like 9 times out of 10, we didn't have a camera with us when we met people. So, getting an autograph was the thing. And I have this Time magazine that he signed. You see it? And this letter. He was with Sean Lennon when he signed this for me. And this one. Oops, sorry. There you go. I have a lot of things signed from him. And then that hat that I showed you just now. So yeah. Dangerously Unbreakable. Why do you think the MJ estate won't release unreleased MJ concerts videos? I don't know. I think I heard that they don't have good quality videos of his, which is weird, because when I was at Neverland, one of the things that I noticed more than anything is Michael had a library filled with every single show that he's ever performed. Every single one. VHS tapes. Maybe they were beta, I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, there's that Triumph tour that I attended in 1981. Oh my God, there's that Bad tour from Washington, D.C. They were all there. Michael had them all. He was like a stickler for saving everything he ever did. And they were all at Neverland. So I do wonder, like, when they raided Neverland, did they take all that stuff? I hope they gave it back, because Michael had them. And another thing that really struck me when I was at Neverland, Michael had this house. It was like a guest house that was like away from the main house. In that house was nothing but fan gifts that he had received like since the 80s. Anything, like if you gave Michael something, like let's say you saw Michael in a limo and you handed him something, he kept that, and it was at Neverland. I saw stuff from like 1982 at Neverland. And so he was someone that really appreciated anything the fans did for him, and he kept it. He never threw anything away. So if you did give him something, know that he had it, and it was at Neverland. I don't know why they won't release his stuff. Honestly, I wish they would. To me, if people just remembered how magical and great Michael was as a performer, they wouldn't even think about this Leaving Neverland trash. It's Michael's magic that makes us love him, nothing else. So if put out great HD performances, unreleased songs, and that's what will bring the public back to Michael. You can't deny his magic. That's the thing that just triumphs over everything. You just can't mess with that. There's nothing you can say against that. So that's, to me, what they should focus on. If we could see the real Michael in things that maybe we haven't seen before, release the Triumph tour, the Bad tour in the theaters or in HD or on Blu-ray, something. That's what the estate should do. Miss MJ46, what is my favorite memory of Michael? Wow, I have so many. Really, the thing that stands out to me was the first time I ever met him in 1988 after his Bad tour in New York. He had performed at Madison Square Garden, and I write about this like in the first chapter of my book, Michael and Me. I got up to his hotel suite at the Hemsley Palace, and I was just a fan at that time, like you guys. So this was super exciting. I was about 17, and I met him for the first time, and that was like such a magical moment, because everything that I ever dreamed of about Michael and thought he was like even more so when I met him. He was, Janet was there, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were there, Quincy Jones was there. It was this huge party, and I was just a high school student in the Washington, D.C. area, so this was new for me. And Michael welcomed me with open arms. Even though he didn't even know me, he was like, just came over to me and introduced himself to me in his hotel room. And then when he said, "Hi, I'm Michael," as if I would know that it was him. And then I shook his, let me tell you why he came over and introduced himself to me. I was so shy that I would not go over to him and say hi. I saw him looking at me the whole night, but I was too shy to say anything. So finally he came to me and he was like, "Hi, I'm Michael." And I shook his hand, and I went to let go of his hand, and he kept holding on to my hand, and he slid it down just like this, like every finger like that. And that was it. I was like, okay, I'm in love. I love this man. I'm 17, and Michael Jackson from the Bad Tour does that for me. And that was just it. I knew that Michael wasn't gay at that moment. I knew he was, more than I had ever dreamed. And when I moved to LA and got to know him, I loved him even more, because he was just so much more amazing in person than what you read about. I can't stress that enough. He was really special. He really was. And I hope they release the Triumph concert too. That's like my dream, to see the Triumph concert in HD. Moni, why did they remove Ghosts from Amazon? I don't know. Wouldn't that be great if we could see the full 40-minute version of Ghosts on YouTube or Amazon or wherever? But it's really hard. Anytime I post anything of Ghosts, Instagram and Facebook, they instantly take it down like that. I don't know what it is with Ghosts, but for some reason Sony is keeping it to themselves. I know when the estate had a Ghosts premiere screening a few years ago at the Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, along with Thriller 3D. And I spoke to John Branca about Ghosts, and he said that they were planning on releasing Ghosts 3D. So that was their plan. But then Leaving Neverland came out, and I guess that kind of, spoiled the plans, which is horrible, because that would have been amazing to see Ghosts in 3D. But the version that they showed at the screening, it was so crisp and clear. It was the best version of Ghosts you could ever imagine. It was so clear, and I hope that they release that someday. There were shots of me in there. I was like, oh my God, I don't remember that scene. So it was cool to be in an audience full of people at Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, seeing myself from 25 years ago, on the screen. So it was a really special moment. That was just a couple of years ago. Justin, what is your secret to not aging? Gosh, as some of you know, I'm going to be 50 in July. So yeah, I've lived a long life. And for me, I have a sauna. I have a portable at-home sauna that I try to get in as much as possible. I meditate. When I was very young, when I was working with Michael, Deepak Chopra became my friend, because he was Michael's spiritual guru. And for some reason, he took me under his wing, because I have an Indian background. My grandfather is Indian, so Deepak, took me in as one of his own, and he sent me to meditation classes. I learned transcendental meditation from the same private teacher that Michael learned from. So Michael also practiced transcendental meditation back in those days, and so did I. So I come from that same spiritual base that Michael did. And I think it helped as far as, all these years later, almost 30 years later, it's helped, because when you meditate, it makes you see that you are in control of your life. It's not all these outside things that are happening to you that that control you. You are the one who's in control, and when you go deep inside, you realize that. And the universe speaks to you when you close your eyes and you just get quiet. You don't have to learn transcendental meditation. It can just be really just close your eyes for 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be any practiced meditation. Just get quiet and centered. It's so important so that you can really listen to the universe and what it's telling you.
Growing Younger with Dr. Deepak. Growing Younger.
I know that anyone who listens to Dr. Chopra, they will be a changed person. I know that. I can guarantee it.
It is important.
The place where I work is really stressful, and everyone in the office is stressed out all the time. And I was like that too until I started listening to Dr. Chopra's tapes, and I became really calm and focused and centered, and everyone in the office saw that I was calm, so they'd start coming to me for advice and asking me how they can stop being so stressful.
There have been many studies.
So that's my secret. So meditation, I drink a lot of water. I eat a lot of, too many lemons. I'm addicted to lemons. I wish I wasn't so addicted to lemons, but I am. But lemons are good for you. And lemons, water, meditation, the sauna. Oh, Neutrogena, the facial wipes. I've been using those since I was 16. And Lubriderm lotion. That's it. I don't use any expensive stuff. It's all drugstore brand, because I'm real low maintenance. I'm a huge tomboy. I may look like I'm made up, but I'm a tomboy. I don't like clothes. I don't like shoes. I don't like shopping. I just like, basic stuff. I'm real simple. What are the best things about working in Hollywood other than MJ? The things that I loved about being in the entertainment is working with so many talented artists. Artists are like a different breed, They think differently from the average person. So being able to work with so many creative geniuses in my career and lifetime has been amazing. And it's not like a normal job. I think I touched on the Me Too movement in my last live on Facebook and Instagram. This Me Too movement is foreign to me, because that kind of behavior was normal in the music industry in the 90s. We just had to put up with it. It wasn't some illegal bad thing. I mean, it was bad to us because we had to deal with it, but it was just normal. I expected to get hit on by clients, by bosses. It was just what we had to do to get ahead in our careers. You had to put up with it. You had to pretend like it didn't bother you. That was just normal. And so in this day and age, when it's not the right thing to do and people are going to jail for this stuff, it's kind of strange, because I dealt with that every day. I actually worked at the Weinstein Company. Believe it or not, I worked for Harvey Weinstein. So yeah, I have some experience in that. Hi, Norway. Thank you, Hild, Christina. I love Norway. I visited Norway in 2009. I was there in the whole month of August 2009. For some reason, I have a lot of friends in Norway, and I love spending time in your country. It was so gorgeous, so beautiful. Aaliyah, what is something you and MJ bonded over? I think the first thing that we bonded over was those 1993 Jordan Chandler allegations. That was the first time that, I was with him when he learned of the allegations going public. We were filming Is This Scary? And I literally watched him go from this happy-go-lucky Michael Jackson to someone who was sad. And he was just in a daze, depressed. And he changed before my eyes. And when he went on tour, the Dangers tour, he left for that tour like a few days after, we were filming that movie, Is This Scary, short film. And so he was calling from the road. The press was swirling. It was crazy. Everyone was calling him all kinds of names. And finally one day I got up the nerve to tell him that I loved him and that I missed him, and that I told him, Michael, everything's going to be okay. And I can't wait to see you. And that meant a lot to him. It's important when someone is going through that to give them hope. And I'm glad that I had even though I was young and, really like naive, I had the guts to tell him how I really felt. And I told him I loved him for the first time. And that was the first time he told me he loved me. And then after that, whenever we ended our phone calls, he always ended it with "I love you." And that was the beginning of our bond. And I think that's what prompted him to call me in 1996 to cast me in Ghosts. Because he told me on our phone call when he was asking me if I would be in it with him, he said, I was watching that movie film that we did in 1993, Is This Scary, and you looked really good, and I was wondering if you would do this new short film with me. It was Too Bad. It was called Too Bad at the time. So he had been watching the footage that we did for Is This Scary, which is online. It's on YouTube, and I released some of it on my Instagram. But he had been watching that through the years, and he wanted to always finish it and, do it again. And that's what Ghosts became. He recast. Everyone was recast in it except me. He told me that he couldn't he couldn't use the children who were in the first version because they had grown up. And I was the only person that he was bringing back. He was really proud of that, So I talk about Ghosts a lot because I know that it was important to him, and it was his, passion project. And it was just really special that he personally asked me to do it with him. MDE Pels, could you tell right away when MJ was flirting with me? I heard he was a flirt. Oh yeah, he was a major flirt. Major. Just the littlest of things he would, find a way to flirt. Holland, it's 2:18 a.m. Oh my God, thank you for staying up with me. How do I feel about Michael's kids, Bones? Oh, they're amazing. Like Prince Jackson, he's doing so well in his charity efforts. Paris is, those kids, they had a rough time losing their father, their only parent, at such a young age. So they're doing very well, and that really speaks to Michael as a father and how he raised them. I witnessed him. He came backstage when I was working for David Copperfield. It was New Year's Eve going into 2007, and he brought his kids backstage with us, and he introduced me to them. Blanket was there, and they were so well behaved, so polite. Michael made them say thank you because I gave them some souvenirs from our show, David Copperfield's show. It was like a duck, like a stuffed animal duck, and a program. I gave each one their own, and they were so happy and excited. And Michael made them say thank you to me, and made them just be polite. That was the main thing that stuck out with me with Michael and his kids. He made sure they were polite and treating everyone kindly. And that I wish everyone knew that about him. He was just he himself was like the most polite person I've ever known. And he was a nice guy, just sweet and kind-hearted and wonderful. So that's one of the reasons I wrote my book, because I wanted people to know the Michael that I knew. Ava Fasson, do I miss Michael? Yeah. Every day I miss Michael. There's never going to be anyone like him, so it's really sad that he's no longer here. Hilda Christina, how was it like at Neverland? Thank you. Neverland was magical. It was, I mean, like when you were outside, he would pump music through the trees. So, like, there was never a moment when there was quiet. There was always loud, classical, Peter Panish type music everywhere. And if you were inside of his house, he had a chef who was just like at your beck and call. So, like, anything you wanted to eat, the chef would fix it for you. He even had, like, I remember the chef opened a cabinet and there was like vodka in there, and I remember clearly Bailey's and vodka all in this cabinet, and you could have it if you wanted. It was just there, like literally anything you wanted. And he had like boxes of wine, literally boxes of wine were in the kitchen. So I had a bottle of wine when I was there. I remember driving the golf cart and I had like a bottle of wine next to me, and it was nighttime, and I remember being sad because, well, it's in the book. If you haven't read my book, read Michael and Me, because I wrote all about it. But yeah, it was like a paradise fairy tale. Whatever you wanted, it was available to you. You could just ask, and there it was.
Happy you can eat whatever you want. We're full from all the ice cream and the candy. Everything's free.
It's beyond what I imagined.
Yeah, it's great.
And I had my own I think I was in the Elizabeth Taylor guest house one of the times I was there. And I remember, this is funny, but when I first entered the guest room, the first thing I did was look for cameras and recording devices, because I had heard that Michael would like spy on people. So I was really like paranoid whenever I was at Neverland. I was afraid that he was watching me. So I looked through like he had like pictures on the wall. I looked through the frames to see if there were any hidden devices. In the bathroom, I was worried that it was like a two-way mirror that he may have been looking through. So yeah, it was that was like my main attitude when I was at Neverland, just like making sure that Michael wasn't spying on me. Hilda Christian, how do I deal with the haters? You seem like a strong woman. I guess I am strong. I never thought of myself as being strong because I'm extremely sensitive. I'm a Cancer, so like things affect me. But after all I've been through, I've dealt with so many hateful people, not only since my book came out, but before my book. When people find out you were close to Michael, it just brings out the ugliness in people. I mean, I have people starting hate blogs about me online, Twitter accounts filled with, slanderous things about me. And it's really hurtful because I'm like, what have I done? I wrote a book about your idol. Why is that so bad? I didn't murder anyone. This isn't like, it's no big deal. I'm just recounting my memories from 25 years ago. It shouldn't be anything that anyone is upset about. It's really crazy, to be honest. And, some of these people aren't mentally well, so it's scary because you just never know what these people are thinking. I don't understand it. I got to spend a month with Michael, 12 hours a day. Oh, more than 12 hours. Like our last day of filming Ghosts, we've spent like 18 hours there. So all those hours a day for a month, every day, it's gonna bond you to the person. It doesn't matter who it is. So, a lot of haters, let me tell you, a lot of haters are like, oh, she didn't know Michael. She was just a fan, or, oh, that picture's photoshopped or whatever. Like, let me tell you, when you film something with somebody, you're there with them every day for more time than you're with your family. And you're there, like, most of the time doing nothing. So you're having to, like, have conversations and, think of practical jokes. It's a big bonding moment when you film something with somebody. So I spent a month with Michael, over 12 hours a day, every day, filming Ghosts. And it was a special time because he called me and asked me to be in it with him, it just meant so much to me. To have Michael call me at work and ask me to be in his film with him, that was like, wow, So, the whole time it was just so much fun, and every day was just us flirting with each other, and I'll never forget it. And that's why I'm still loyal to Michael today. I'll never go against him, because I know that man that I was with during that summer of 1996. I'm sure that's who the real Michael was, because you can't fake your character when you're with someone day in and day out. So I know the real Michael, and that's why I wrote this book, to tell you guys what I saw and what I experienced. And he was just so down to earth. He wasn't attracted to little boys, he was attracted to women. So it's hard when I have so much opposition in the fan community themselves. It's like I'm trying to, tell people that he wasn't a child molester. I'm trying to, present myself as proof that he liked women, and some of his own fans try to discredit me. I just don't get that. I had one fan, I should say, message Cheryl Cobb, who interviewed me earlier today. As soon as I promoted that I was going to be interviewed by her, this hater messaged her, trying to tell her not to support me. And this happens whenever I'm booked on anything and it's publicized. This so-called hater, tries to turn that person against me. And it's wrong, it's illegal, it's sick. Like, if you hate someone, like they say they hate me, why continue to be obsessed with me? If you're obsessed with someone you hate, there's a problem there. You have mental issues. Just want to let you know. Perhaps you should get that checked. Thank you, the official Maya. You said Michael wouldn't like that people are showing hate to someone that genuinely loved him. You're right. Michael was all about love and kindness and niceness. So to the haters out there, you're not being Michael-like when you're, spreading hate and lies about me. It's really sad. Oh my God, how has it been an hour already? Anyway, we have 56 seconds, so I'm going to end this so that I can save it, so that you guys, 35 seconds, so you guys can see it later. And I will talk to you guys later. I might come back if I'm going to look through the questions and see if there's anything that I haven't discussed. But thank you guys for joining me. And I'd like to, maybe I'll come back and go live with a few of you guys. How's that? All right, stay tuned to my page and I will go live if I can. All right, bye. Love you.